Cars have eyes that help you drive. Recalibration is sometimes needed. Trained and certified. Lloyd's Auto Glass. Correct calibration services can help.
I'm Andrea Housen, practice coordinator for Derek Jones Facial Plastic Surgery. Dr. Derek Jones is amazing. He's double board certified, he's skilled, and he's been doing this show with Blab TV for almost 2 decades. If you're looking to grow your business, Blab TV has an amazing reach in this local viewing area. We always hear, we saw you on Blab Television. I'm Andrea Housen with Derek Jones Facial Plastic Surgery, and I am Blab TV.
Broken or cracked windshield? Call your insurance company and insist you want Lloyd's Auto Glass. No more broken windshield and a box of really good steaks. Lloyd's Auto Glass can help.
Fox Sports Pensacola 101.1, the Fan, 1450 AM. It's your Thursday ride home now. Oh, man, it's getting closer. The weekend just around the corner. Spike Sports is on your radio right now. We join up with Chad Brillante from the Blab Television Studios. And I am Jim Cagle from the Papa Don Studios. Chad, what's up, my brother?
Oh, not much. I, was just over here having some fun. And, earlier today, we've got these gloves on set, which are, we got Roy Jones Jr. boxing gloves up here. And, I took a shot to the face, Jim, and I lived to tell about him. Now, he was not wearing them, but, everyone always says, you think you would fight Roy Jones for $1 million? Heck no. But I was able to take a picture with the gloves to act like he did. And it's complete fraud. So I just wanted to let you know that. So.
Hey, man, thanks for filling me in on that. I feel like I'm joining the show
something
now.
that nobody needed to know. So there you go. So there's my story. Nobody needed to hear today and wasted our time. So let's talk some Wahoos baseball because they actually got a real victory yesterday and did something of importance. So let's talk with Eric Bremer, the voice of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, who's in Pearl, Mississippi, and having a chance to continue this hot streak against a Braves team that a lot of people are keeping an eye on with the South here. But Eric, how's everything in Pearl today?
Everything's good. It's hot and sunny as usual, but Blue Wahoos have won 4 straight, a couple one-run wins on Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe more of the same coming tonight.
Well, hopefully, and looking at it yesterday, they got a win. Dalby Rosario gets that sacrifice fly. But, Eric, it seems like sort of a repetitive kind of statement, but they're just finding a way to win games, sometimes not pretty, like you said the day before. The ground ball outs, they had a horrible batting average with runners in scoring position, but those days that they're off, it seems like somebody else picks up the pace. And really, that's what a championship team does, especially in baseball. You might have a roster full of players, but for instance, the Yankees right now in the majors, they got obviously some Bronx Bombers out there for a reason, but they're all not doing well, and they're doing it at the same time. So when that happens, you start to fade and lose games to teams like the Royals. That happens sometimes, but when the Wahoos seem to have somebody down, it's somebody else that picks up the slack. And that's one of the cool parts about that locker room chemistry that they have that you don't always see in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about how the Blue Wahoos lost Patrick Monteverde and Troy Johnston the last couple of days to AAA, well-deserved promotions for 2 of the best players all season long. But other teams are dealing with that too. And for the Mississippi Braves, they had 2 of their starting pitchers traded out of the Braves organization as the major league club needed some help. And we might see that with the Marlins making a move or 2 between now and the deadline. They did make a trade yesterday that did not impact the Blue Wahoos, but every team in the minor leagues is going through this at the same time. And so the Blue Wahoos just need to make sure that they've kept themselves in better shape than the team they're playing. And so far, that's been the case.
Now, looking at this Wahoos team, what would, a couple weeks ago before the All-Star break, you said probably it was the bullpen. After moving a couple guys around, the bullpen was the one thing that maybe was a little shaky. What would you say right now? Is it still the bullpen, or is there one thing that if you look at the Wahoos, because it seems like everybody's looking at them as the team to beat. They won the Southern League last year. They continue to have the best record. They're not winning games by 10 runs, but hey, they went on a 17. They won 17 of 18 at one point this season, so they're capable of being that good. But what's one thing you would say, Eric, that this team maybe needs to get better at overall if they're going to make another consistent run?
Boy, it's tough to say. I think the offense has been good. The defense, I checked today, they've got the best fielding percentage in the Southern League. Starting pitching has been really good, and the bullpen, while for time to time it has struggled, I think we've seen these last two nights when they've got a lead, they've got guys they can trust who can hold that lead. And that's the most important thing, especially when you get to the playoffs and you have more off days. You don't need to rely as much on the back end, your fourth or fifth option, so to speak. So I think the Blue Wahoos are feeling pretty good. We'll just have to see what kind of personnel changes are made between now and the end of the year and how the Blue Wahoos are able to backfill those absences coming up either from other organizations or from High A Beloit.
Looking right now, Eric, at the matchup tonight, they continue, like we said, back-to-back one-run wins. What can we expect from the pitching matchup tonight?
Yeah, Luis Palacios is coming off of his best start in Double-A. We've talked a lot about him. He's a lefty who doesn't throw hard, but last time out, 7 scoreless innings, 4 singles, no walks. I mean, he was as good as he's ever been. And this is a team in Mississippi that has struggled to score runs, at least as of late. So maybe another good start from Luis Palacios. Alan Ronhell is going for the Mississippi Braves, and I feel bad for Alan Ronhell because he is not a bad pitcher, but because he pitches deep into ball games and because his offense hasn't given him much run support, he's 1-11 on the year. And that's another reminder that the one-loss record isn't necessarily the end-all be-all of a pitcher's value, but kind of a mismatch, at least in terms of the box score tonight. We'll see how it plays out on the field.
All right. One of the fans, anytime a fan wants to ask a question, I always write it down, and so I don't forget. I literally have a notebook. I write things up, and they asked the question. They've been a lifelong fan of the Wahoos. They've been down here going to games, season ticket holder for 10 years. But obviously, the roster changes based on the teams. They knew some of the players they said back in the day, like Nick Senzel and Jesse Winker, but from the Reds. But who would be to you, because you're around the team, Eric, 24/7, a lot of times traveling? Who would be I guess you could say, like the jokester, the life of sort of the party when it comes to this team around the clubhouse?
I think the person that comes to mind was Troy Johnston, but he was just promoted to AAA. Will Stewart is out for the year with an injury, but when he was around the clubhouse, he was a veteran guy who felt comfortable kind of loosening it up. Uh, so many of the guys they establish not cliques per se, that has a negative connotation, but they find their own friend circles, and especially when the team's winning, everyone keeps it pretty loose. I will say that Narel Gonzalez is kind of the mascot of the team. He contributes on the field to be sure, but here's someone who doesn't play every day. He speaks mostly Spanish with his Spanish teammates, but knows enough English where he can say a funny word or two from time to time. I think Narel Gonzalez is kind of an enigma, and he's well liked in the clubhouse.
Well, there you go. That's awesome, and I know my friend Adam will be happy. He's watching and tuning in. So, Eric, before we let you go, you have a chance to travel with this team a lot, and having a chance to be there in Mississippi. What can we expect from a weather standpoint if you're watching on MILB or the Blue Wahoos Network, or listening in to your radio broadcast? What are some of the expectations for sort of the weather and the ambiance out there today?
It's going to be hot throughout the
That's
rest of
true.
the series. Sunday, we're playing a day game, which we're thankful for because it's getaway day. It means we get out of here earlier, but it's going to be at 2:00 first pitch. And right now, the forecast has it at 99 degrees at 2:00 on Sunday. So we'll see what kind of the walk up we have for the fans. But we do know that tonight is Thursday night, which means they got drink specials. Friday, Saturday, they've got giveaways and fireworks. So they're going to have more fans in attendance these next couple nights as we had on Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully a good environment.
That's awesome. And look, you're in the South. We cover Alabama on WPNN, and on Fox Sports have a chance to cover Florida. I know growing up around baseball with your dad as the broadcaster for the Minnesota Twins, baseball's been in your family forever. But have you adopted, since you've been down here last couple of years, Eric? As you know, we're 29 days away from the start of college football season. Is there a team that you root for in college football?
Yeah, I grew up kind of following the Gophers as a Minnesota native, and then I went to school at Northwestern. And awkward time to be a Northwestern fan because on the field, they've apparently done some really awful stuff, but I'm proud of the journalism program that I came out of.
That's-
So, yeah, go Northwestern. Hopefully there are brighter days ahead for that program as they try and make sure that things are all above board moving forward.
Yeah, Northwestern is one of those. I clearly did not go to Northwestern. I went to UCF, and I just claim being a good broadcaster because that's what we do at UCF. But Northwestern or Syracuse, you go to there, and more than likely, people understand how good and what it takes to be there. One of my friends in high school, she ended up working with Fox News for a little while. Britt McHenry, she ended up going there. I remember and talking to her. And yeah, Northwestern's a very good school when it comes to broadcasting. So kudos to you. But we know, like we said, we're lucky to have you down here as long as you are, and be looking forward to listening to you in the majors here soon. But looking forward to listening to the game tonight when you guys are taking on Mississippi.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Appreciate it, guys.
I appreciate it, Eric. Thank you. All right, and it is Thursday. Look, it's Thursday, everybody. Right? I got the day right. All right, there you go. We're not moving up a day today, Jim. It is Thursday. We know it's Thursday, and what's crazy, Jimbo, is like we can sit here and talk for 2 hours, and most people know sometimes in their brain they don't say it to me personally, but he's like, "Will this guy ever shut up?" Everybody has thought that at one point with me. Don't try to lie to me. I know for a fact that has crossed every single human that's been around me at one point's brain. But the difference is, the hardest part about doing a show where we'll reel off stats about Sean Payton in Denver and how Russell Wilson's been sacked more times last season under Nathaniel Hackett's regime than his 3 seasons combined in Seattle with 55, or UWF number 2 in the Gulf South. And we'll talk to Will Kenny. All these things are circulating, but the toughest part of the day is just to remember what day it is every single time for me. So that's how it
happens, my brother.
How's your day going? I know you wake up at the crack of dawn, so it's probably sometimes tough for you to understand what day it is based on that. You sort of might be on another day when you're waking up getting show prep done. So
it can get a little confusing some mornings when you wake up, but I try to put it together. It's brutal, but I like it. I like it.
And what we got dose, right? Numero dos, 2 days away from Donald Trump tickets, correct? Down at Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range.
That's right. You got till tomorrow at 5:00 to get your name in. It's Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range for your chance to see and hear and dine with Donald Trump. And it's courtesy of, I would say WPNN and Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. So you got to get there to register to win. It's the only place to register.
You know, what'd be cool is if when Harry's out there shooting and teaching his concealed carry classes, if President Trump could stand behind him and go, you fire, just like that. And every time then you have to shoot every time. I think that would be a catchy theme, but
we have to fix his jaw where it just goes down, down and up, down and up.
Fire, you fire, like expire. No, but when it comes down to those are awesome tickets, and it's been an awesome giveaway, and we'll continue to promote that as well. 29 days until Toe Meets Leather. We are excited, and it's right around the corner right there. Our good friends at Two Men in a Truck. I was talking with Greg Miklos today. Excited for for 29 days until Toe Meets Leather in college football as we count down the days. And man, this is awesome. It's that's like 1 or 2 good nights, during Blue Angels week. It feels like 29 days. So, it's just like one big party during the 4th of July to Blue Angels week. So
I've been there. I've been there a few times. Yeah, I get that.
Big injuries around the world of sports today, though. Big injuries with Joe Burrow. They had an injury with Joe Burrow today where he was carted off. Now, this was a calf injury that he had sustained earlier in the week. And on top of that, Jimbo, the only problem with that, though, is that injury also was non-contact, because if it was contact, more than likely there would be contact with helping whoever hit him onto a bus as he was cut from the team, because you don't injure Joe Burrow and get away with it.
No. You should expect to be gone, right?
Oh, 100%. Because think about it, like if you're two, and the Dak Prescotts and the guys like that, they definitely have to prove it. So if you look across the board, the only person that you really would say that for sure, if they go out, that their team doesn't have a chance at the Super Bowl because they've been there, would be Mahomes and Burrow. So I'm telling you, this is one where we're going to keep an eye on it. But, calf injuries you can play through, but they're really painful. And if you take a couple sacks and that your offensive line is beaten down as Cincinnati has done before, I'm telling you what, there is a big difference between being hurt and also changing the dynamics of how you play as a quarterback. Because you take a couple licks from a 6'5", 330 biggin coming around the backside, Jimbo,
Yeah.
he's not going to want to go back out there, and he's going to throw the ball. Now, he's a tough guy. He's taken some hits in his career, but Burrow, if he knows that this guy's coming down his blind side and Aaron Donald's breaking free, there's a good chance that he's not going to be able to take the hits long term and probably get rid of maybe a pass when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, that's very true. So it's a good thing it's still, well, it's not really that early, but still got a little bit of time. But like you said, calf injuries are brutal. You can play through them, but you almost can't. I mean, yes, you can go out there, but you're not going to be the same guy. So it's going to be interesting to see the first couple of games, man, without a doubt, preseason.
Yeah, I had a calf injury one time, but I shouldn't have been on that farm to start with. You know what I mean? Listen,
That boy keeps riding the calves.
yeah, they said that bull had milk. I don't know, but all right. On that note, let's go ahead and take a sad break, and we're coming back for more. It is Spike Sports on Fox Sports Pensacola, The Fan, and on Blab TV. When we return, we'll talk some UWF football.
When you need a professional cleaning service who can do the job right every time, call no other than Spotless Logistics Commercial Cleaning Services. Whether it's small, medium, or large offices, they can do it all. They even offer event cleanings, deep cleanings, vinyl floor stripping and waxing, and outside pressure washing. Their qualified staff can be on site day or night and will have your space cleaned in a flash. Call the number at the bottom of the screen and let one of our friendly staff members come out and give you a free estimate. Make it spotless, keep it spotless. That's Spotless Logistics Commercial Cleaning Services.
One time, a story that was always remain in my mind. There was a dock alongside the bridge where the trains come up and dump the coal into the ships. When the ship was full, well, they go out. But my dad was smart enough to know that when the propeller turned on that ship, it'd stir the mud up. Dad would go make a drag behind him, and he always catch 50 to 200 pounds of shrimp, big white shrimp. He put me off on the railroad dock. He told me I'll be back. But in the meantime, the choo-choo train come. And they got out of the train there in the engine. He said, "What are you doing here, boy?" I said, "I'm waiting on Daddy." So he got the tub of shrimp, put him on the back of the train. And about 15 minutes later, here come my daddy in. I said, "The choo-choo train got him, Daddy." Daddy threw that conductor out of the damn train. I break his damn neck. Daddy getting mad. Take his shrimp.
Bowling is fun at Cordova Lanes. We're a bowling center with activities for the entire family. We offer Mama Ani Snack Bar, Bowler's Edge, our full-service pro shop, Shooter Sports Bar, and of course, state-of-the-art bowling lanes with automatic scoring. Cordova Lanes. Let the good times roll.
The best investment on earth is Earth, and I sell Earth. Any questions? Call me. Coming soon, the moon.
Fox Sports Pensacola 101.1 The Fan, 1450 AM, streaming live at foxsportspensacola.com. It is your Thursday ride home. We're joining up with Chad Brillante. He is at the Blab Television Studios, and I am Jim Cagle in the Papa Don Studios. And this is when we merge and we get the show back on track and move on to the next important topics that I'm sure we will cover fully. What's up, Chad?
Not much. What do you call a punter that lives over the age of 100 years old?
Lucky.
Guy that's still kicking. So there you go. So there you go.
And
people are like, we didn't wasting time again with the corny jokes coming back at it. You know, those are at least appropriate for everybody. So let's keep that.
That was family friendly.
That's family friendly right there. You didn't need to,
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good one just to throw it out there. You know, it's like it's the guy who wants to retire from being a punter. Be like, come on, man, you got to keep on kicking these days. Got to keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Why do punters always look like the difference between punters, like they live and breathe to hit you, because kickers don't look like that. Remember Roberto Aguayo, that Florida State game back in the day, where if he makes the tackle against Georgia Tech, they go to overtime. All he has to do is tackle the guy, and he just like just like puts his hands out and gets thrown out of the way, and Georgia Tech wins on that block punt on the block kick. Like kickers don't
Heartbreaker.
usually want to do anything. There's a Chris Bosher was one of them who played back in the day. I think he was a Florida Gator, but there's 2 or 3 sometimes that want to hit you, but I'd say 95% of kickers don't want to hit you. Like 100% of punters are like Australian, and they're like 6'5", 240, and they're usually the craziest people on the field. They just don't usually get to hit anyone.
That they want to, though.
Yeah.
See, they come at you with the want. But what you were talking about, you see them sometimes they'll be running after someone and they'll dive like 5 feet behind and away from the guy. Like they give it the effort, and it's the softest effort you've ever seen. So I'm with you there.
Oh, here it is right here. You see, it says, what's the difference between this guy sent it in, maybe for my Patriots here. What is the difference between a New England Patriot fan and a baby?
What?
The baby at one point will stop whining. Look at that. Look at that. That's come on, people. Come on. Keep your jokes out. Get out of here. Get out of here with that one. See, I'm whining about that joke. That's so stupid.
Yeah, you are. You got to get over it. We got to keep on kicking.
There's two teams. There are 2 teams in football that nobody is ever going to shed a tear for, and never really should feel sorry. You know, it's like when somebody was like, if like a supermodel's crying and they're like, it's like, what's wrong? Be like, my Botox got canceled this week. You're like, all right, you know what? Time out. Like, we got serious problems in here. It's like, you know, my jeans, I don't even know if they're the same size. Like, look, they're ripped. My shoe has a hole in it. Like, these aren't serious problems either, but I deal with them. All right. But it got canceled from Tuesday to Wednesday. You're like, but nobody's going to feel bad for them. You know, it's like, come on. But for football, the 2 teams like that would be Alabama in college football.
Yes.
Like nobody feels bad that Georgia's sort of taken a little shift into the regime. Like it's another team that's now on a dominant role that like still has partial ties to Alabama with Kirby Smart and Scott Cochran that was there forever. Yeah. Getting all pumped. But and then the New England Patriots in the NFL, Jimbo, who, you know, a team for 20 years had success, went to 11 Super Bowls. Nobody's going to shed a tear for the New England Patriots. I guarantee that.
Yeah, like you said, nor should they.
Nor should they. Yes.
Yeah, they're on the mountaintop. You know,
what team? We're on this subject. What team in sports do you feel the most sorry for their fan base? So I'll start things off. I'll go ahead and start it off with I would say in the NFL, the team that I probably feel the most sorry for their fan base would have to be probably the Cleveland Browns, because they've had their team ripped away. Then they came back. Baker Mayfield like showed signs that he was going to be good. They made like commercials with him as like, this is my home. And then he was getting evicted within the next year. you had all these things that like the Browns, they pick up Deshaun Watson, and now they're sort of, nobody feels as bad now that Deshaun Watson's there. But the truth is, like, the Browns never really, they're such loyal fans, and they just never have been able to have the excitement of being in that spot where they just can, everybody sort of gets their chance, and they haven't. Lions fans just accept they're bad. I don't really feel bad for Lions. Like, Lions fans would be more shocked if they were good. They're like, what's going on? And so Lions fans had like a decent year, and a lot of people are picking them to win that division this year based on that. The other quarterbacks are Justin Fields, Jordan Love, and Kirk Cousins. You never know what's going to happen with that defense. But yeah, I would have to go Browns on that.
Okay, Browns. And see, you did mention Detroit, and I don't really know about the NFL who I feel the worst for. I feel bad for Dallas fans. I know that's crazy to feel bad for a Cowboy fan, but it's because you're holding on. Dak is great. I love Dak at Mississippi State. I loved him in college. I've liked him in the NFL, but the Cowboys don't deserve a quarterback that you like. They deserve one that can get you where you need to go, and they just can't get off of Dak. And I don't know who they would get to instead. So let's park it there, right? But I kind of feel bad for the Cowboys, because as long as Dak is there, I don't think he's the guy that's going to get you there. No offense, and honestly, I would say that nowhere near Dak.
Based on college football, I would say to answer the same question on fans, that if you were a fan, I would have to say, and they got a coach that can actually do it, but I would have to go with Wisconsin. And the reason is Wisconsin for about 30 years. I mean, I'm 38. And in my lifetime, watching football with my dad and growing up, Wisconsin and Camp Randall jumping around, they're always loyal. They love their football team from Barry Alvarez, the days of watching Bielema and all the guys moving through. They show up, but they always have a shot. And when you always have a shot, you get your emotions high. You want to win. And they just never can get over the hump of being better one year than a Michigan, than an Ohio State, a Penn State. There's always somebody that's better than them and keeps them out from winning the Big Ten. And it's like they've done that now for like 30 years. They always seem to finish around like 9-3, 10-2, or 11-1, and never can get over that hump. Iowa's close, but Iowa sort of is okay knowing who they are and where they can recruit to be like 8-4 or 7-5 with Kirk Ferentz, who is the longest tenure coach in the NCAA. But Wisconsin, they're good fans, and they just continue always to seem to have that record where they just can't get to the next level.
Man, wow, went Wisconsin. I like that. Jumped out of the SEC. I'm jumping out too, and I'm going to say Ohio State. And the reason is they will lose to Michigan again this year.
just feel bad. Don't feel bad for Ohio State fans.
I feel sorry for the fans because Michigan's going to beat them again, and it's just gonna it's gonna be crazy. How is their coach? Really, do you think he's the guy? Do you like? Isn't it Day?
Ryan Day? He's a good coach. There's some schools that it takes a lot to mess up. Ryan Day was around the program. He's a good recruiter. He's a solid coach. He's a solid coach. Okay. I don't know if he's a top 5 coach, but he took over. Ohio State had a platform where it's really tough to screw up. Like, people want to go to Ohio State, but what Ryan Day does is he develops good quarterbacks, and they have a staple. Like, that on the offense and defensive side, that like teams like Alabama and Georgia are always going to have strong defensive and offensive lines. Like, no matter what, they're always going to have big guys that are going to go pro. The one thing Ohio State has created is they've had now under Ryan Day a first-round draft pick at quarterback. Whether they've worked out or not, that's not his problem in the NFL. But they've had a first-round draft pick every single year he's been a coach at quarterback. So he develops good quarterbacks, and they are really, to tell the truth, outside of that 1 year at Alabama where they had Ruggs, Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Jerry Jeudy on one roster, outside of that 1 year, Ohio State's been wide receiver you. I mean, everywhere you look, Ohio State has the best receivers in the NFL by far, and they just continue to produce them.
Well, I just don't think he's the guy. How about that?
He's not a legendary coach, but he took over a great situation that I think he earned, and he hasn't messed it up. He hasn't messed up. I mean, like, look at Notre Dame. And I'm not saying Marcus Freeman's a really good guy. He seems like a really good guy. But Notre Dame with Brian Kelly was always at the cusp of going 10-1 or I'm sorry, 11-1 or 12-0. Then, but they never, when they got to the playoff, nobody expected them to win. Last year, they lost a ton of games, and fans, I mean, it can happen that way. So, meaning that Brian Kelly might not have been the guy that won him a national title, but he consistently kept them in a chance for a national title, where Freeman, just the second he got there in his first season, that team slipped off the face. So I'm saying that Day has been able to keep it up at that level that a lot of coaches cannot when they take over for a legend. You see what I'm saying? Like, look at what Brent Venables did in Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley, we expected 11-1, 11-1, 12-0, 10-2 every year from Oklahoma. Now that Venables there, they were a 6-6 team last year, and nobody's expecting them, now that they're making the jump to the SEC next year, to just hop into being 11-1 again. So it's not that